Okay, Caitlyn. Um, obviously you've made a just gigantic improvement over the last 3 or 4 months. You're hitting the ball so much better. One of the things that we want to work on is trying to figure out how we're going to get more topspin on the ball. So we're going to start looking at this next video here and look how level you are on your backswing right here, and your finish at that point. We can still see your strings. So let's see a still shot right here. And we need to get that racket head down just a little bit more. And we can see you're using an Eastern grip. If we look at Felipe, he's using a semi-Western here, and the racket head is well below his wrist. If we look at your follow through, we can still see your strings at this point. Where if we look at Felipe, we can see how he's turned the racket head over the top of the ball. That's the position we need to get into. Okay, Caitlin, so I want you to look on this side view on how flat you are and how we're really using that Eastern grip, and we want to use a semi-Western grip, and we want to try to start creating more topspin. So right here, you're so flat with your swing pattern. We've got to start getting more of a low to high motion. Okay, so if we look at a still picture here, we can kind of see your racket head is below the ball, but we want to be able to use the semi-Western grip here and sweep up on the ball a lot more. So let's look at a picture of Felipe here. He's using a semi-Western grip, and his racket head is slightly closed here. Where if we look at you once again, we're using the Eastern grip, and that racket head is wide open. Okay, now let's look at your contact position. I want you to notice how your racket is straight up and down and where your wrist is in relation to your racket head. This is because you're using an Eastern grip. If we're looking at Felipe here, you can notice how the racket head is below his wrist, and this is because he's using a semi-Western grip. It's going to allow him to really sweep up and create more topspin. And again, if we look at you and then look at Felipe one more time, this is the position we want you in. Okay, this last frame photo here, we can really tell and explain why we're flying the balls like you are. And your palm is up towards the sky here, and basically you're not releasing the racket head over the top of the ball. So without releasing it, that ball is going to stay on your racket too long, which is going to result in the ball flying, going long. Okay, so I took video of you at the end of the lesson to see how you adjusted to the grip change and the follow through, contact position, etc., etc. We can see that your grip change is a little bit better. Would still like to see you a little bit further under, but it looks a lot better at this point right here when you're making contact going low to high, but your finish is still quite a bit open. So we look right here, racket head's below the wrist, which we talked about earlier in the example with Felipe. So this looks a lot better. But the problem that we've got to work on in the next week, 2 weeks, is this position here. Your palm is looking towards the sky, and we got to release the racket head over the top. So we'll work on this in future lessons.